Geelong, we talk about the Cats with 9 lives. Well, they're on a 9-game winning streak at the moment, aren't they?
And they've got big game players and other players who are jumping on board, like Tom Atkins, who had a huge last quarter for Geelong. But you look at this hurts you. So Kenny Hinkley's got that lead. But you don't want to cough up a goal in the first 12 or 13 seconds of a quarter to good sides, which they did, lost the key clearance. Big game players. Stengel, what a season he's having now, up to 35 goals for the season. He kicks that one. And then Tommy Hawkins. It was just a wonderful quarter, last quarter. Obviously, Carl Amon kicked the goal to level it up. But then Geelong, good sides, kicked the last couple of goals of the game, TJ. So they lost all momentum in the game and found a way to win again.
You talk about Stengel there. Geelong's recruiting is exceptional, isn't it?
Amazing. And what they do, they get to them early.
Yeah.
So there's another few in the pipeline again for this year coming up.
It's amazing how they get them.
But it's strong people at the footy club that make it work as well. So Tom Hawkins, Joel Selwood, these guys, Tom Stewart, who's probably come in the last 5 years, Mitch Duncan's another one. So you get them in there, good people around them, and then they blossom.
Yeah, and you talk about recruiting. The drafting in the rookie draft in 2019 of Tom Atkins, he's going to turn 27 in the final month in September. What he's doing this year is quite extraordinary, Brownie. He's still officially listed as a rookie, and yet dominating that game last night when it had to be won, having already put together a really, really classy
season. Their most defensive-minded midfielder.
He was awesome. He had 12 touches in the last quarter as well. You'd love to be a forward playing with Hawkins and Cameron because the opposition, they want to get a spare behind the ball. So if the small forward comes up to the stoppage, they want to drop off, but that gives you a lot of freedom, and it completely confused Port Adelaide yesterday. Let's roll the tape. So this is close, and Darcy Byrne-Jones, look at the score, look at the time. I don't know why he's free, Lordo. You mentioned why you would have a free there. That's actually your defensive half. You got Riley Bonner there. They want that there for protection against Hawkins and Cameron, but you completely bypass them if you've got a smart small forward. So look at the ball use, up at stoppage, get back inside 50 and use it like that with a one-on-one. Good luck to Tom Cleary, who I thought was admirable fighting out of his weight division yesterday. And this one here, so Tyson Stengel comes up. Houston doesn't know, do I press or do I stay with Tyson Stengel here? Well, he sort of does nothing. And then you look forward of the ball. You want 2-on-1. Port Adelaide want a spare back here, but they're just confused. You've got another spare Geelong player out here. So the ability of their small forwards to come up, cause absolute confusion, and then work their backside up to get back inside 50 and finish. If you're Gary Rowan, if you're Stengel, if you're Close, if you're Dowhouse, if you're all these sort of players, Myers, look out for them to have a big influence in September. And there's the record for Ken Hinkley against Chris Scott. Both coaches started their coaching careers at the same time, and Geelong just get them. And part of it is because Port Adelaide don't have a match-up in their defensive 50. They need a tall key defender to come into that side. Hawkins and Cameron, once again, 7 goals between them.
Hard to contain Hawkins and Cameron, but I want to ask you as a former tagger, Geelong going to the final series, is Mitch Duncan the most player you're going to tag? I mean, he is the best kick inside 50, I think, in the competition. So he feeds Hawkins, he feeds Cameron. He does it pretty much on his own. I never see anyone near Mitch Duncan. Do you tag him in the finals? Well,
let's do something. They've won 9 in a row. So why doesn't a team try something? So if you just let him waltz up and use the footy like he's doing, and he's so smart, half-back wing. So I wouldn't mind some, whether it's a full tag Brownie, but a bit more attention than what he's getting.
We'll have a chat about Ken Hinkley in a moment, Kane. Before we do, let's take a look at what he nearly said post-match. Clearly the frustrations are kicking in. 0-5 start to the year, and they've gone 8 wins, 5 losses since.
To be fair, it's been us. We've been okay. We've been good enough at times, but not for long enough. That's the reality. Hasn't been good enough for long enough. Clearly we're not great because we'd be at the top of the ladder, and we're not at the top. We're a long way from the top of the ladder. So yeah, it's a fair assessment. But we're not even, if you look at the ladder, we probably don't belong in good. But what we have belonged in is, nearly said something, shouldn't I? We've stayed in the keep going.
I'd love to know what he was about to say. Kane, 10th season, coming off consecutive preliminary final finishes. Last year a really bad one, obviously. What do you see happening? Now contractually, he's there. But there is a club out there in North Melbourne that is now effectively not so much on record, but going to go down a path of wanting to get someone experienced. Is there a possibility along these lines that something could happen in that space?
Yeah, I think it's possible. I think North Melbourne's priority is with Clarkson, but I think Hinkley is almost a better fit. So if you look at when he took over at Port Adelaide, it's about as good a comparison as you can get at North. Complete mess. Teammate had just lost his life on a football trip. The coach had gone, the president had gone. No one was turning up to the games. The club was financially a mess. 5 wins in 2012, 3 wins in 2011. He came in with good people around him, Alan Richardson, Darren Burgess, Keith Thomas, a magnificent CEO. And we won a final the following year in 2013. So if you're looking for a rebuilding coach who sets really hard standards and is a good, honest person who can still have some fun, then that would work. And I think that probably works for Port Adelaide as well after 10 years. A fresh start, perhaps with a younger coach or a coach who's been there before, could be a win-win for both.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's a conversation possibly for Damo's agenda, but wouldn't it create this fascinating scenario if suddenly there's a vacancy at Port Adelaide and just say Damien Hardwick was to look at that and think, OK, we might head home?
Yeah, well, there's a connection there, TJ. It could be an Adam Kingsley, who's a premiership player at Port Adelaide, if they wanted to go for an untried one. So, I mean, yeah, it feels like there's a lot's going to happen.
Do you feel his time is up?
I think no, because you can still see that the effort is there and they completely haven't capitulated. And there's a lot of pieces they're missing. They don't have a ruckman. Like Ollie Wines has gone to the centre bounce yesterday. They don't have a key defender. Cleary's playing on Hawkins. So personnel-wise, they haven't had everyone available and they haven't capitulated after 0-5.
But it also comes back to a point that Lauder quite correctly made earlier in the season, and that is about clubs freshening up after coaches have been there for some time. And if
that's
you look
the point.
Yeah.
So if you want a fresh start and someone else to come in, but the grass isn't always greener.
No, it's not.
I feel like they're going to go with him again next year.